to kick things off.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this January's meeting for the Eugene Airport Advisory Committee. And at this point in time, I'm going to probably turn it over to you, Catherine, to introduce the guests because I don't have a list of the guests.
Sure, no problem. So guests I see are Odette Opie with Eugene staff, Andrew Martz, Eugene staff, Jason Chu, who is our new properties representative with Southwest Airlines. And Travis Hargett with staff. I missed one up top, Chris Wolf. Chris reminded me you are with.
So GAT, Southwest United contracts.
Perfect.
And your boss.
And I see, yes, Matt Rodriguez is joining us today. Thanks for being here, Matt. I think there was one other, sorry, that keeps shuffling names. So then I have to figure out which ones I haven't said yet. Ray Beverly, there we go. And Ray is actually going to be joining us next month as an advisory committee member. Okay. And then we have our newest advisory committee member joining us today, Cedric Rudd. Hello, Cedric.
Hello, everyone.
And I think that's what I see. And then Mark, I know next on the agenda, we have recognizing Randy Riccici and Phil Groshong for their service on the advisory committee. So I'll toss it back to you for a minute if you'd like to say a couple of words.
You bet. Randy, did you make it in? Are you here?
I don't see him on the list.
Well, a big thanks to both Randy and Phil for the last 6 years being on the advisory committee, and can't thank you guys enough. I know that's a whale of a commitment, and you guys have been a real asset to the advisory committee.
Thank you.
Also wanted to take the time. Do you want to say anything, Phil?
No, other than I've been on and off the advisory committee for, well, let's see, Catherine, you're my fourth, I think, airport director. So yeah, I'll miss the meetings. I won't miss Zoom, and I don't wear my mask usually at a Zoom meeting, but I know that I see Cedric is being ultra careful. So just picking on you a little bit, Cedric, since I'm leaving, I could probably do that. So anyway, yeah, it's been, I really have enjoyed it. I plan to remain active out in the airport area. So thank you, Strength, appreciate it.
You bet. Randy Riccici, are you here? Well, once again, thank you, you two. And I've lost my screen. Am I there?
You are, we can hear you.
Okay, there. Also want to take this time to welcome the newest members. Cedric, welcome to the advisory committee. This is your first month on with us. And then the two newest appointees that Matt Rodriguez has appointed are Ray Beverly and Brittany Quick Warner. And I don't know, are you either one of you here?
Ray Beverly's here.
Hi, Ray. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Having you. And say a little bit about yourself to the rest of the members.
I am a longtime aviator. I flew 20 years in the Air Force, active duty. I've owned 2 flying schools down in California. I flew 15 years for NetJets. I was on the Merced, California Airport Advisory for several years during my flight school era. And now I'm an FAA designated pilot examiner. I have an airplane out on field here and I fly quite a bit. Glad to be here.
Well, and one addition, Ray. Thank you. Brittany, are you out there?
I don't see Brittany on yet. So Ray and Brittany's terms start in February. So but thank you for being here today, Ray. We appreciate that. And then I'm sure Brittany will join us. So Brittany is the President and CEO of the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce. As some of you may remember, Dave Hauser served on the Airport Advisory Committee for many, many years. And Brittany's really excited about joining the committee in that same capacity.
And Cedric, would you like to say something a little bit about yourself?
Hello, yes, everyone. Glad to be part of the committee. I moved to the Eugene area September of 2010 and have enjoyed the community and continue to enjoy the community, and work currently as the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Even Hotel. And yeah, I appreciate the time and I appreciate being able to support and be on board.
Well, welcome aboard, Cedric.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think at this time, Catherine, we're going to turn it back to you for the director's report and go from there.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark. And we do have a lot to get through today. We're going to catch up on a presentation that we didn't have at the December meeting from Andrew Martz about the day-to-day operations at the airport. And then we are also going to try to stay on schedule with our Airport 101 presentation that we hold every January. And Randy Bonneau takes us through Airport 101. So I have just a few quick slides to talk about. We're going to talk about that 5G issue because I know everyone is dying to know what is happening with that for the Eugene Airport. So I will see if I can do this right the first time.
Catherine, I do have Randy Riccici on the conference line.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, we can take a moment and thank Randy for his service. If I can kick it back to you, Mark.
You bet. You got me here?
Yes.
Randy, wanted to thank you once again for the last 6 years on the board and your service. And that's a lot of time and hours. And turn it over to you if you have something you'd like to say.
No, I thank you very much. It's been a blast. I'm sad to be stepping off, and who knows, maybe some point down the road, if you need me again, don't hesitate to call. I'd be happy to be a part of it. I think it's a really great group, and it's just been very exciting to be a part of all the great growth that's happening at the airport under Catherine and her team. And I'll definitely miss being here every month, but let me stop in as a guest from time to time just to check in.
Thanks a lot, Randy. Appreciate all you've done. And back to you, Catherine.
Okay, very good. I'm going to attempt to share my screen, hopefully the right way this time. And there, I think I've got it. Is that right, Randy?
That's good.
Perfect. Okay. So here's our agenda. We're going to hop right into it because I don't want to run out of time today. We've got quite a lot to go through. So here's just a kind of a reminder of the schedule we generally try to keep. Sometimes we have to go a little bit out of order depending on people's schedules, but in January, we always do Airport 101, and then February, a legislative and air service overview. And then each of the work areas at the airport, the manager for each of those areas will be doing a presentation just to bring you up to speed about the work their teams do, what it entails and all of that thing. Good time to answer questions as well if you've got questions on the specific work that we do out here at the airport. Okay, we're going to move right along to the December activity report. And Andrew.
Yeah, so as you can see from the slide, operations were down to 2% from last year and 15% from 2019. But our air carrier landings are up from last year when we had the big slowdown. Still down from 2019, but not that much, only about 8%. And then our passenger level really was happily surprised when these came through for December. I mean, obviously we knocked it out of the park compared to last year with the big COVID hit, but an 8% increase from pre-pandemic from 2019. So that was really just huge. And then again, total passengers, pretty similar numbers as far as the percentages go, way up from last year. And then just a strong, we've done more than rebound. We've actually, eclipsed our 2019 level. Although our passenger level, is someone saying something?
No.
Okay. So then you can see overall, our year to date, just slightly down. I'll take that 6%. Yeah, we really rebounded from last year. Next slide. So load factors, this is really, once again, a critical number that the airlines look at. Obviously, you know, last year being the outlier, we like to see that increase, but only 1% down from 2019. So that means people are getting in planes. They're not just flying the extra routes. They're actually getting people on the planes. So that's a really healthy sign. You can see market shares are kind of shifting back to original norms, with the exception of we've added in Southwest. So you can see they've come in and they've grabbed a significant amount of market share right off the bat, right? I mean, so, but United is still, and always has been traditionally, our market share leader. Alaska was ahead there for a little while. It kind of got skewed, but now it's kind of right sizing itself as far as what we traditionally see. Cargo numbers down slightly over the last 2 years. A little bit down from pre-pandemic, but pretty darn close. So
Any
here
questions?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, any questions about the activity report? Good. Okay, and you do have to speak up because I can't actually see everybody. So if you do have a question, let me know. And then this is actually a load factor comparison that's pretty interesting. So I know it's a bit of an eye chart, but if you compare, this is a comparison of our 10 up, 10 down airports for October of 21. So those are airports typically 10 sizes above us and 10 sizes below us, but it shuffles depending on what data you're looking at. So if you take a look at this chart, it shows that Eugene, there at the top of the green, with 9% increase in enplanements from 2019 and a load factor of 78%, which is good considering all of the new air service in our market. We've really been able to absorb it pretty quickly. And the only other airport in this comparison to show on the positive side of enplanements is Jackson Hole, Wyoming, with 22% increase from 2019. You see them down there at the bottom, and they also have a healthy load factor. So I thought that was an interesting way to show that our recovery, as we've been talking about, has really been faster and more complete than other airports of our size. Okay, we'll move on to the December financial report, and Patricia.
There we go. All right, it's good news. This has been a great month. As you can see, our revenue is 12% over budgeted and 149% over last year. That's pretty astonishing. You know, even taking out our capital transfers, we still look really healthy. Personnel is 1% under budget and 12% over last year, which, as you remember, we've added some FTE for our parking. We absorbed a contract and took it in-house. So that's where you'll see that our personnel is over last year. It's due to that. Materials and supplies are under budget 21%, 11% above last year. We still have that tractor showing up in the capital there. CSA always chugs along at 1/12, so it's always exactly on. Operating expense is under budget 8% and up 12% compared to last year, again, because of that FTE. But now look at that, we're in a positive operating balance. Even without any relief grants, we were positive, just shy of $1 million. So that's excellent. And then we added in our CRISA reimbursement there to end with an operating balance of positive $2 million. This is a great report.
Yes, it is.
Okay, the charts. The charts are another good one too. As you could see, revenue just went crazy in December. You know, that is our good month, of course, but it just really shot up. We've recovered well. The bright oranges this year, of course, you can see that. So strong, good recovery in revenue in December. Next slide.
That's the expense slide. Do you want that one?
That's the one, yeah. As you can see, expenses up a little due to the FTE, not a whole lot, but just crept up a bit to cover that contract. Okay. Net cumulative gain without relief. Look at that. We broke above both 20 and 21. Looking good. Remember, this is without the relief grants. And then with the relief grants, we're substantially above, about $1 million above. So strong, good recovery, good cumulative gain, small increase in expense, but large increase in revenue. It looks great.
All right. Any questions for Patricia? I just, will emphasize what she's saying. We've been so fortunate to recover so quickly. And that means, all of those relief grants can now be essentially rolled into our capital program. Any questions?
No.
Okay. So here's what the chart that we've been tracking on to just look at where we're at currently and then what the forward-looking schedule as far as departures and seat capacity looks like. So right now, January and the forward-looking schedule, we're showing 1% down in departures and 20% up in seat capacity compared to 2020. Well, you wonder, how can that be? Fewer departures, higher seat capacity, and quite a difference there. We're just seeing larger aircraft types come in. The new carriers, Avelo and Southwest, of course, are using larger aircraft types. So even if we're seeing a reduction in frequencies, we're just seeing an increase in seat capacity. And then if we look into the future, into May of 2022, we are seeing a 43% increase in departures and a 58% increase in seat capacity. Of course, that is further out in the future and subject to change. And then just a quick look at our general aviation comparisons. This is for November of 21, and looking at the markets we generally benchmark against. I'm still going to have to rely on Phil Groshong to interpret these numbers for me, and maybe Ray will be able to interpret these for us in the future, because they always seem to be pretty sporadic month to month, depending on what's been going on in each market.
Yeah, very often very weather related.
Yeah,
a lot of them, and that makes the itinerant traffic. Especially you can notice the difference between Redmond and Boise, which are both sunshine in the winter a lot more than we are, and that I think has quite a bit to do with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Ray, what do you think?
Obviously, plus Redmond has 2 major flight schools over there, and Lane doesn't compare with the size, and we only have 1 very small full-time flight school. So obviously the winter time for us is very tough to fly. I've noticed an extreme drop in my flying.
Yep. Okay, very good. All right, well, let's talk about 5G C-band and airports. This is pretty much what I've been dealing with nonstop for the past couple of weeks. So just to give you a quick overview, so there are 88 airports that have been impacted in this first tranche of the 5G C-band rollout, and that includes Eugene. So we currently have a NOTAM in place at Eugene restricting instrument approach procedures. The FAA is working through some approvals for both radio altimeters and aircraft types to be able to operate under what's called alternative method of compliance. And they've actually also just recently included some MD-80 aircraft as well. So as of this morning, the telecoms agreed not to activate this 5G C-band towers near these near 82 of these airports. This is where it got very confusing, where low visibility operations would be affected by that proximity of the 5G antenna to the runways. But the impact to Eugene remains unclear The NOTAM regarding the 5G C-band approach restrictions remains in place at Eugene and at 7 other airports outside of the 46 markets where Verizon and AT&T have been authorized to deploy this 5G technology. So we don't really know why. PDX is in one of the buffer zones. And so the antenna that would be impacting the PDX approach has been turned, when they turn on the system, it's at a lower frequency so that they can still roll out their 5G, but it's not going to be impacting those approaches. In Eugene, we just still don't have the answer. The NOTAM remains in place. We're not in a buffer zone. So we're in kind of this no man's land with another 7 airports. We're working actively with the FAA and with our professional organization, AAAE, to try and get that nailed down. And actually Congressman DeFazio's office is involved as well, because really we just need to know, are we going to be impacted or not? The impact to Eugene, if this NOTAM remains in place, it will restrict any aircraft types that have not been given this alternative method by the FAA, that approval, which means we could see cancellations or diversions or ground stops that would impact our passengers. So working hard to get those answers, hopefully today would be great. This is a graph I thought was really interesting because it's on the FAA website. You can go in and take a look at their 5G site. It's pretty informative. But, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, this has been rolled out in France and other European countries, no problem. So why would it be different in the US? So in the US, it is a little bit different. And this slide kind of shows that basically in that these other countries, the signal is rolled out at lower power levels. And also just some other differences like antennas that are tilted downward to reduce potential interference to flights, but that's not the case in the United States. And then different placement of these antennas relative to airfields. So those are some of the differences that we're seeing, and you can kind of see that depicted in these different graphs and imagery here. Ultimately, this will need to get worked out in a permanent regulatory way, because right now this is just a voluntary by AT&T and Verizon to turn down or allow for these buffer zones. But there's nothing stopping them regulatory wise right now from turning them back up again and potentially causing disruptions to our air traffic system. So that's what we're tracking on. We will be hopefully have good news later today, but I've been hoping for good news since last week and have really not gotten any clear answers on this yet. Any questions on the 5G issue?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see any questions. So we will roll right into Airport 101 and Randy Bonneau. And Randy, you can share your screen.
You're muted, Randy.
Of course I am. Set up, just 1 second.
I can hear you.
That's because you're on the phone, Randy. Let's see. How do I share my screen? You guys see it?
We see your note slide. Okay, try switching your screens. There you go.
Start at the very beginning. There we go. All right. So This might be a little familiar to some of you. This is the Eugene Airport Governance and Funding Guide, or the Airport 101. This is a guide document designed for the Eugene Airport Advisory Committee, and it will be a working document that will contain valuable information on how the airport is governed and funded. And this does not include all the content in this document. So if you have missed your copy or you misplaced your copy of the 101, let me know and I will send you a new one. So what you see on your screen is our organizational chart out here at the airport. We have 10 divisions that operate 24/7 with 49 full-time staff that is spread out into all the different departments. And the departments include terminal, airside, landside, security, operations, finance and administration, project compliance, environmental, tenant services, parking, general aviation, and our lone electrician, Nate Bushnell. Airport governance the airport is governed by 3 different entities. All 3 have different policies, orders, circulars, and directives that allow the airport to operate in a safe manner. City of Eugene is the airport sponsor and acts as the policymaker who are charged with establishing broad goals and objectives for management to accomplish. It is the responsibility of the airport sponsor and airport management to ensure that the airport is operated in the best interest of all the stakeholders and those affected by the airport operations to the highest extent possible. The airport is also under a municipal structure, which is also referred to as an enterprise fund, and it allows the airport to operate like a business. Second one is the FAA. The FAA issues orders and advisory circulars that are directives on specific subjects and programs that provide guidance and instruction to FAA personnel on compliance, airport safety, operations, and other related issues. The FAA also provides the policies and procedures that include, but not limited to, our grant assurances, minimum standards, exclusive rights, grant agreements, revenue producing property, self-serving and self-fueling, maintenance and operations, approach protections and obstructions, airport closures, fees and charges, and leasing. TSA is our third government, and TSA determines that additional security measures are necessary to respond to a threat assessment or a specific threat against civil aviation. TSA security directives set forth mandatory measures that the airport must comply with in the time prescribed. Any questions here? Okay. Funding. We have 4 big fundings here at the airport: aeronautical revenue, non-aeronautical revenue, non-operating revenue, and airport improvement program, or the AIP funding. Aeronautical revenue includes services provided by air carriers related directly and substantially to the movement of passengers, baggage, mail, and cargo at the airport. Non-aeronautical revenue includes land rent received from an off-industrial park that is owned by the airport, reservation centers, catering facilities, rental car operations, and parking and concession sales. Non-operating revenue includes passenger facility charges and customer facility charges. Primary airports apportionment is based on annual passenger boardings, the number of aircraft operations, the amount of cargo, airports that are part of small airport funds, and state apportionment calculations. Airports must be in the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, NIPIAS, to be Airport Improvement Program eligible. Discretionary funds such as set aside, capacity, safety and security, noise funds are all used for capacity, safety, security, and noise planning at primary and or reliever airports. Any remaining 25% of the funds are pure discretionary funds and are eligible for any project at any airport. Our PFCs, CFCs in the airport improvement program all provide revenue for the airport. And the airport currently collects $4.50 per passenger, and $3 is collected for our customer facility charge, which is our rental cars. While PFCs are collected for airport improvements, our CFCs are collected to improve landside operations, such as building a CONRAC, which is a consolidated rental car center. And more common revenue sources include landing fees, fuel flowage fees, land lease fees, and terminal rents. Any questions on that one? Okay. Grant assurances. We have 5, all of them are really important, but our 5 main ones in this document we talk about is assurance 5 is preserving rights and powers. Assurance 19, operations and maintenance. Assurance 22 is economic non-discrimination. Assurance 23 is exclusive rights. And assurance 37 is our disadvantaged business enterprise. Airports must agree to certain obligations from these grants to receive the funding. So these are really important for us to follow. Assurance number 5 is preserving rights and powers. Prevents an airport sponsor from taking any action that may deprive the airport sponsor of its rights and powers to direct and control airport development and comply with the grant assurances. It prohibits an airport to sell, lease, encumber, or otherwise transfer or dispose of any part of its title or other interest in the property shown on Exhibit A of the airport layout plan without written approval from the FAA. Assurance 19, operation and maintenance. The airport and all facilities which are necessary to serve the aeronautical users of the airport other than facilities owned or controlled by the United States shall be operated at all times in a safe and serviceable condition in accordance with minimum standards as may be required or prescribed by the federal, state, and local agency for maintenance and operation. Assurance 22, economic non-discrimination. It will make the airport available as an airport for public use on reasonable terms and without unjust discrimination to all types, kinds, and classes of aeronautical activities, including commercial aeronautical activities that serve the public. Grant assurance 23s are exclusive rights. It will permit no exclusive right for the use of the airport by any person providing or intending to provide aeronautical services to the public. For example, it would be unreasonably costly or impractical for more than one fixed base operator to provide such services. And finally, our grant assurance number 37 is disadvantaged business enterprises. The sponsor shall not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, or sex in the award and performance of any Department of Transportation assisted contract covered by 49 CFR Part 26, or in the award and performance of any concession activity contract covered by 49 CFR Part 23. In addition, the sponsor shall not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, or sex in the administration of its DDE or ACDDE programs or the requirements of 49 CFR Part 23 and Part 26. Okay. Permitted and prohibited uses of airport revenue. Both Congress and the FAA have placed restrictions on the use of airport revenue, including the assets of airport, to keep people such as public officials from using airport funds. So examples of permitted uses is capital or operating costs of the airport, the local airport system or other facilities directly and substantially related to air transportation. Promotional expenditures designed to increase air travel at the airport and stimulate new air service and competition at the airport, as well as airport marketing expenses. Prohibited uses would be paying in excess of value of goods or services the airport receives, charging less than fair market value rentals rates to non-aeronautical users, including the sponsor, and paying for marketing and promotions that not related to the airport. Examples for permitted users would be Fly EUG commercials promoting the airport, upgrading chairs in the boarding and waiting areas, travel vouchers used to promote new air service, and more. There's a lot more. Examples of the prohibited uses is paying for commercial advertising for Disneyland and using airport funds to build a new library downtown. So all the revenue needs to be in-house and has to be aeronautical related. That said, it's my last slide, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And if you have lost your document over the last year, I'd be more than happy to send you a new one.
All right, thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? Okay, well, we will roll right into Andrew Mart's presentation on the day-to-day operations at EUG.
He's frozen.
Andrew, you're muted.
You had it, yeah, there you go. That's the way.
There we go. So sorry about that. So yeah, sorry I missed last month. I was unfortunately stuck poolside in Puerto Vallarta, so I couldn't make it. I do apologize. Hope you understand, but back on schedule. So I'm just going to give kind of a 30,000 foot view. Some of the things that maybe don't get touched on in all when you see all the other managers with operations and tenant relations and stuff like that. So kind of a 30,000 foot view. So you've already seen this, so I won't go through all the different areas again because Randy just did it. But I do want to have some exciting news that we can see that vacant an environmental project manager. We have hired an environmental project manager, Mariah Mulcahy. She'll be joining us end of this month. So really excited to bring her on board and get her up to speed and have someone in that role. Because a lot of those tasks fall over to other members of the team. And so it's always good to have someone in there that's going to really have an eye on making sure we're doing everything we need to do in that realm. This came out a little blurrier than I anticipated. Sorry about that. But basically, we got a lot of projects going on. So part of what we're doing, we got top left there, Charlie Mike Rehab coming up. We're going to make sure that project's on target and going ahead. We've got our new CBIS machine going in. So hopefully that project has been awarded. The contracts are signed. So now we're really just battling lead times on items. It's incredible how long it takes to get things right now. So the lead times are just way longer than anything we've ever seen before. So that's our main struggle. And that one, we're doing everything we can to get it in as quickly as possible. But we're kind of at the mercy of the stainless steel tables and some of the computer equipment with the chip shortage worldwide. It's a challenge. So we're kind of all hands on deck when it comes to that project. We're really tight on, as you all know from previous meetings, on overnight parking spots, RON spots, remaining overnight. So one of the projects we're working on, you see that area shaded in the blue on the bottom right, is creating what we hope is 5 more spots for RON aircraft. And that'll line up nicely because the picture you see on the lower left there, that's our concept of our terminal expansion. But that will line up really much parallel to where you see those RON spots. So it'll be really easy to move aircraft from an overnight parking RON heavy pad over to the terminal building so that they can be used for passenger loading. And then some projects not shown here, just real high level. We've got a parking lot expansion, our long-term parking lot. We've got a new QTA, quick turnaround, which is otherwise known as a car wash for our rental cars. We're getting that one built. And then once that gets built next year, we can tear down the one that's there now and create even more parking. I don't know if you were tracking our parking situation over the holidays, but it was shoehorn would be the appropriate term. So kudos to the operations staff, the parking staff, really everyone who was involved with that. It was definitely a team effort, and the snow didn't help. But yeah, everything worked out right. But we're definitely more capacity, I guess is the point. And then part of it too is helping our airlines. This is really just a kind of one example of kind of how we interact with our local airlines, is helping figure out what aircraft can go where, so that maybe if we're in a situation where we have a diversion or we have a mechanical, we all kind of have a clear understanding prior to needing a space where that space is going to be. And that fits in nicely with our regular tenant relations. We like to think we have a really good working relationship with all our airline partners. And that includes at the local level and then also at the corporate level. So it's important for details like this for day-to-day operations. And there's many more slides I could show, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to kind of give you an example of the level of detail that we like to communicate with our partners. And then part of it is air service development, right? Yes, we're full, but we're always looking for more air service, right? So we've been really lucky recently to bring in 3 new airline partners, Southwest, Avelo, and AHA. We're proud to say that they're all thriving here in Eugene, and that's good for us. It's good for them. It's good for the community. And so we really can't be more pleased with how these partnerships have, one, evolved to begin to be to actually have started, and then also how they're going now. I think they're all meeting or beating expectations. And part of that is, when you get your new airline, it's coming, it's like, okay, we gotta throw a big shindig to show them we care and show all the community and show it off, really. Like, hey, look at this is great. So just a few, the top 2 are our Southwest launch. So you can see it's not just bringing the airlines here, it's helping them get all their operational needs in place. It's building out the office space, and then it's helping put on a celebration day of, and coordinating, as you see at the top left, we're going to have media on site, making sure that not only do we get the service, but we give it its best foot forward from the first flight. So we really try and go all out. And then we try and do our water salutes for our first flights. And so you can see the Avelo one there, and then our Southwest colors triple arc, which was really, really a fun thing. And it was actually, from what my understanding, talking to execs, was the first time anyone had ever done that for Southwest, to do a triple arc in their colors. So really, really just try to have fun with it. And then there's the media relations portion. So everything happens on a Saturday at 4 p.m., right? So it's about really creating those relationships with our local media. And so when things go awry and they're listening to the scanners just like we are, and those calls start coming in, it's making sure we get them accurate information, that we're open and transparent with what's happening. To the best of our abilities, right? We're not going to guess or assume things, but we can tell them what's going on. And coupled with this too is the social media aspect, right? So making sure that we're staying on top of our social media, that we're getting messaging out when it's needed, and then also when people, I know this is going to come as a shock, but might not be so happy and post things on social media, to be there and actually interact with them and keep small fires small, as I like to say. And then we've got our brand messaging. So this is our current campaign, Fly Local, Fly EUG. We've got it on our big digital billboard down at Washington Jefferson right there, where it's right where the freeway off ramp is. It's one of the busier, if not the busiest intersection in the city. So we do this, and we also have messaging for our airlines. So we've got our Southwest placement as well in this location. And so this campaign has been really successful for us, and it's across multiple platforms. So we've got the billboard, and then just a few examples here of the different forms it takes when it goes into our print formats, on social media, Pandora. We've got a Pandora banner. So all things really, we've got buttons. When we meet in again, I can make sure you all get buttons. So each of these circles here, we made into a little button. It's kind of an old timey throw out, but each of these is meant to represent an activity in our region. So we are a regional airport, right? So, five zip codes, not zip codes, but 5 counties, excuse me. And so we've got all different things that just different representations of what makes our area special. And then we coupled that with a little 30-second TV commercial. So I'll play it in case you haven't seen it.
Eugene Airport is a proud part of what makes Western Oregon such a unique place to do. Non-stop routes that connect to hundreds of destinations. Fly local, fly Eugene.
So that gets played at when we have ad placements like for duck football games, or for we do different placements for different athletic events and things that will reach people in our area. So we've gotten really great feedback on that as well. Oh, I'm not going to play it again for you. Then we also have advertising in our airport, right? So that's our external marketing we talked about. So now we're talking about when people want to bring their businesses and have a presence here in Eugene. So we've got vehicle pods that have had cars, tractors, bobcats, all kinds of stuff. That's right at the entrance to the terminal. We've got our hospitality suite, which you see the upper right there. So those are interactive iPads where content is loaded onto them by Eugene Cascade Coast. So it's got hotels, taxis, all the different things that if someone didn't want to use their own phone or wanted a more selected avenue, they could go to those. Unfortunately, we got touch screens in right before COVID happened. And so now everything wants to be touchless, right? So put a little timing issue on that one, but they do get used. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what just happened. They do get used, and then we've got got advertising opportunities on the screens there. We've got 8 different screens on our baggage claim, so that we have rotating ads and information, and we put up promotional things for our if an airline brings in a new route or something like that. We've got banners in our lobby area to help our new airlines. And then we've got places for both local and regional businesses. So this particular one in the lower left, that's in our B gate area. Yep. And then we've got our art. So these are a couple examples of some of the art opportunities. This is the upper left is our newest mural. It's actually from the Oregon Cultural Trust. If you haven't seen this already, I highly recommend it. There's a little QR code where you can just look, you can go online. There's actually, I want to say almost 200 symbols. I can't remember the exact number built into this. It's done by a local Eugene artist who went to LCC, but there's a little explanation on the web that tells you what each of the symbols are, but it's meant to represent all the different peoples and groups, both traditional and current within the state of Oregon. It's a pretty cool, and it's also the background for their new license plate. So it's going to be, I think it is already available. And then we've got our rotating gallery. This is just a snapshot of what was just in there. So this is in the public space in the main terminal. So quarterly it gets rotated. So we use Emerald Arts, Jordan Snitzer, Maud Kearns, and then City Eugene Cultural Services. So they do a quarterly rotation. And then we've created a space at lower right there. There was just some blank walls. So we said, hey, let's take Oregon Assisted Living Program. They have a really cool art program. And so they do a rotating display there too, and be open to other groups if they express interest. But just trying to find places where that weren't being utilized and bring some art and some value to the communities that come through Eugene, so they're not just looking at bare walls. Same thing with this display. This is actually up right at the top of the escalators. And so again, it gets rotated quarterly, and it's really meant just as a resource for the community to be able to showcase things are going on, or artists, or all kinds of stuff. And that's pretty much it. I tried not to ramble too much to preserve time there, Catherine. So I hope I didn't go too fast, but do you have any questions? I'll take silence as a no. So I need to stop sharing.
Okay, thanks so much, Andrew. Any questions for Andrew or anything else for Randy's presentation? I don't see any raised hands. Okay, I will turn it back to you, Mark. Next up is the open discussion, questions and comments.
Anybody have any open questions or comments?
Catherine, I don't know if you had a chance to talk to United about their schedule in January and why they dropped the early morning to San Francisco just for that 1 month. It just seems odd.
Yeah, it is odd. And unfortunately, that has to do with the pilot shortage. So yeah, and so the plan is ultimately it's actually going to help us because they plan on bringing in mainline service. I think it's early to mid February now. So, well, yeah, that early morning flight got pulled down to San Francisco on United, but now it will come back as a mainline, which means it will be definitely more protected from the pilot shortage issue. So I think what that says is, yeah, we're being impacted by that issue, but our airline partners are valuing our market and are willing to put in the larger aircraft type.
Well, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, before you sign off, once again, thank you to Phil and Randy for all you've done for the community and being on this board. And thank you to Andrew, Randy, Patricia, and Catherine for those reports. If there's nothing else, I move for a motion for adjournment.
I still move.
Second.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all.